Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Gizmo Joe. Today we are going to be taking yet another look at the Telstra Essential Plus. Now, this phone is also known as the Alcatel One, or maybe the Alcatel Joy One, because that's what it says in the settings. I'm not really sure what this phone is. All I know is that it runs Android 8.1, but it's Android Go, which is sort of the slimmed down version for lower powered phones. So if you guys watch my unboxing, you'll know that I wasn't particularly impressed with this phone, but I said for, $50 to $100, it would be all right, either as a secondary phone or something for somebody that doesn't use the phone all that often, or even as a junker phone that you can give to a teenager who doesn't know how to take care of things yet and smashes stuff up. But I've had a bit of time with it to play around with it, and I'm ready to give you sort of my closer sort of impression, and I'll start off with the good stuff. The first thing that I can say about this particular phone is that it does feel snappy. The response on this guy is actually fairly decent, and I think that it has more to say about the Android Go operating system, more so than the phone. The phone itself is only running a MediaTek 6739 processor, which is fairly low spec, especially for today's sort of demands. So, I mean, you're not going to be doing any sort of gaming or anything on this particular device. If you look here, I did download Geekbench 4, and if we take a look, so the CPU scores are pretty abysmal. So I ran it, the single core score is 579, the multi-core score is 1500. That's pretty low. Again, it's not a deal breaker, but it is fairly low spec. I mean, you can look at just some of the comparisons here. I mean, these are phones that are ancient, and this thing coming out in 2018 is getting a fraction of that score. It's pretty bad. If we look at the multi-core score, same situation there. You're looking at, it's performing way way below 2018 standards. If we look at the kind of compute score, it doesn't look like I ran that one. Sorry. That's your imaging processing and stuff like that. But if you look here, resolution 480 by 853. So again, this is a 18:9 aspect ratio phone. You're looking at about almost 5 inches. It's 4.95. But to have a 480 display is just real cheap. I mean, I would expect to have at least a 720 on a device that is $100, which is what Telstra is actually asking for with this particular device. I mean, I think about the Xiaomi Redmi series and stuff like that, and even the lower spec ones still come with a 720 HD display, which I just don't think that there's any excuse really to put a 480 display in these things. And I mean, I said before in the unboxing video that the viewing angles were horrible, and that has not changed. This is on full brightness, by the way, and the screen is just, you can't see it unless you're looking straight on. And it's got a sort of weird shimmer almost to it. I know it's hard to see in the video. I can't really describe it, but it just sort of looks like, I don't know, it's like phasing in and out of existence or something. I don't know how else to describe it. It's really bizarre. And it kind of like, it makes me feel kind of nauseous almost. Like I wear glasses, and so like, it's just, I don't know, it's like an optical illusion that kind of makes me feel weird. I mean, not like I'm gonna, fall over or lose my balance or anything, but it's just very distracting when you're trying to use the phone. So like I said, I mean, it comes with all of your Google stuff as you would expect. I mean, this is an Australian phone. It comes with, sold by an Australian retailer. But if we look at the camera, I'll put some photo samples up. I know you guys can't really see these. It looks okay from a distance. It's kind of like that line in Clueless where she's like, oh, talking about one of the other girls that she goes to high school with, and she's like, oh, she's a Monet, and the guy's like, what does that mean? Oh, from far away it looks okay, but up close it's a big old mess. And I feel like that's the perfect way to describe this camera. Again, it's only 5 megapixels, so I mean, you have to taper your expectations. But this particular camera is pretty bad. It's pretty poor. I mean, one of the other things that I would mention is that I know you can't really tell based on just this video and the way that my low tech way of capturing videos, but it's weird. Like when you take a photo and you move as you do, you move the phone a bit just to get whatever you want in frame, but it's almost like, because the screen is so poor, it's almost like a sort of polarization effect where it's like, you're moving the camera and then it's almost like polarized, like you're looking at a negative or something. It's really bizarre. I don't know if that's the camera software. I don't know if that's just the poor quality of the screen, but it's really distracting. It makes taking photos a real hassle, and it's a painful camera to use. It's the same thing with the selfie shooter. Again, it's just the screen is so poor that any sort of movement, even so slight, it just totally skews the color. It totally skews everything, almost to the point where it looks like a negative, like an old film camera. You get the negative reel before you went to go develop them. That's sort of what it looks like. It's like a polarization almost, and it has to do with this weird sort of screen shimmer thing, like when you move it around. So basically, the reason why I wanted to do this separate video was to tell you that, all right, performance-wise, it's not too bad as long as your demands aren't all that great. If you're using this thing to make phone calls, just do some text messaging, maybe some light internet browsing, it's going to be fine. Anything beyond that, forget it. You're not going to be doing any gaming on this thing, no way. The camera is so awful that it is borderline useless, but I would even venture further than that and say that the device itself, even though it has some redeeming factors, everything is let down by the screen. The screen is so poor that you just can't do anything with it. It is awful outside. You tilt it slightly and it gives this weird polarization shimmer effect. It's just non-usable. And I think to sell this for $100, now again, I got mine for 49 bucks, but it was half off. So the retail price on this device is 99 bucks. I just think that's a scam. It's just not, you can get something from, Xiaomi or Huawei or something like that, where your $100 is much better well spent. I mean, I know that there's a real kind of pull in buying a really cheap device, but I mean, this is a case of, you get what you pay for, and it's actually quite shocking that they would have such a high price tag on this. Now, if this was $50 and that was its normal price, even 60 bucks, maybe even 75, maybe I wouldn't have much of a problem with it. But at 100 bucks, I just think that the screen itself is so poor, it makes it almost unusable. Anyway, if you're in Australia, you can pick these guys up, and I want to say that Telstra is getting rid of them en masse because I'm pretty sure they're still on sale. See if I can find them, and if I can, I'll leave a link down in the description. But they're 49 bucks. I'm not sure if they're still doing the Google Home Mini for free. I mean, that alone is worth it. So I would say get this phone and then throw it out and then keep your Google Home Mini, because these guys retail for about 80 bucks in Australia. You can get it for 49 with a junky little phone along with it. But that alone is the better deal. But if I can find that deal, I'll put a link down in the description. If you're thinking about getting this, I would give it some serious second thoughts. I personally would not pay more than $50 for this device. And even then, it's probably a stretch, because I think I could probably apply my $50 to something else that would be significantly better. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of Gizmo Joe. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I come out with new videos every single week. Anyway, have a good one. This is Gizmo Joe, signing off.